Hello, hello, and welcome to the Lilith Astrology Hotline. This is my new live video series where I'm trying to get on every day. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm trying to get on here every day and live stream with all of you and chat about astrology. And today's topic is going to be astrology transits for beginners. So, I really wanted to do a series of these where I talk about some of the basics in the birth chart so that these are some like foundational videos so that you understand transits, you understand how to, at a basic level, look at yours, understand what's going on, and be able to check out your own transits. And also, I think this video will make looking at your reading your horoscope, even better. So you'll be able to understand it more. So I've got my Palo Santo going. So if you want to join in the mood, get yours going as well. If you use that, or if you use any kind of herb or sage, get yours going too, So, yeah, I want these lives to be very informative, to provide some insight into how I do things internally in terms of like the astrology and analyzing your charts. So you can also do a lot yourself as well. So this is going to be a fun episode. And I'm also going to do some readings towards the end. Oh, my voice. Excuse me, guys. I have been shooting videos all day. So please forgive me with my voice today. It's like But yes, I'm going to do readings towards the end of the video. And then before that, we're going to talk a little bit about how to look at transits in some notable people's charts who are trending in the news right now. Because I really like to, this is also in my study as an astrologer, I love to look at the transits compared to people who are their lives are playing out in the public eye, because that helps me understand like similar patterns can show up in another person's life, or it helps me understand the archetype a lot better. So yes, I love to nerd out and look at people's charts. So a couple of the charts we're going to talk about, Elon Musk is a chart that I have dug into, and I'm going to show you some explosive stuff has come out, very scary, about his father who he's estranged from. And you can just see it in the chart, in the transits compared to his chart. He is a Cancer rising, Cancer sun, and I forget his moon. So that's very obvious. And then I was thinking about talking about Joy Reid and Jimmy Kimmel, because earlier today I realized they're both going through their Saturn return in Aries. And that is a very big transit. So really interesting how they're going through challenge and turbulence in their career, restriction. So these are some common themes with the Saturn return. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So yeah, let's dig in to transits, everyone. So I would love everyone in the chat what your zodiac sign is, your sun sign. Are you Taurus? Are you Aries? What's your zodiac sign? So, okay, let's get into transits. So, a transit is how we can, it's basically how we observe where the planets are in the sky and how they are connecting with our chart. So it's like it's a predictive technique, but it allows us to understand how the current astrological weather is going to affect us personally. So Saturn return, as I mentioned, is a very big transit. And this is when transiting Saturn, so Saturn in the sky at this moment, how this is forming an exact conjunction, or it will during its transit, to your natal Saturn placement. So that's why this happens every 27, 29 years, because that is how long it takes for Saturn to go through the entire zodiac. So a transit is just that. It's basically wherever a specific planet is in the sky, if it's forming a conjunction, if it's forming a soft aspect like a trine or sextile, these are harmonious aspects that can result in positive changes. And it could be a challenging aspect like a hard aspect, like squares and oppositions. So it really depends on the aspect, the type of transit that you're experiencing. Like, for example, you could have your Venus return. This is a positive transit. This happens like once a year. And basically, you can get a burst of luck. You can have some financial breakthroughs. You can upgrade your wardrobe. You could do something with your beauty and how you look aesthetically. That's all Venusian. So as you experience transits, the themes of the planets that are coming into contact with your chart play out in your life. So it allows you to see what's coming up ahead. It allows you to analyze, okay, like for another example, on the 24th, we are going to have the Mars Pluto square, which I did post about today. And this is a hard aspect. And if you are a Scorpio and Taurus placements, Leo, Aquarius, this Mars Pluto square, this transit is going to affect you personally. So Mars is a trigger. So when you have a transit like Mars on your, say, Scorpio sun, this activates the archetype of Mars. So this could bring conflict. This can bring challenging events. Mars is a malefic, and it's going to be at home in the sign of Scorpio. So that is super potent and ripe for challenging situations, bodily harm. Mars can represent and act like needing surgery or having some type of trauma. Not trying to get dark on you guys, but it's Mars in Scorpio. But also, transits are not all bad. And I don't think that this Mars square Pluto is going to affect everyone in the same way. So, yeah, don't be scared of the 24th. That's tomorrow from this live. But transits can teach you and show you how to move, how to react, what's coming, and like what's the astrological weather for you specifically. So let's get into Elon Musk's chart. So I really want to use some celebrity transits, people who are in the news right now, for better or worse. I don't like this person at all. Just doing their chart because there was some explosive news that came out today. So I'm going to do his chart, and we're going to talk about the fundamentals of how to look at your transits just at a groundwork level. And I must say as well, it may take some time. You can take a look at this online. Maybe I should do a series about astrological symbols, but you can use you can hover over things on the apps and see what planetary placement and everything is. So you may not need to know the symbols, but it does help when you are looking at a chart. So I'm going to explain all the symbols and everything like that, but that's definitely a video idea. So I'll think about that. Okay. So let's actually first go over what's going on with him right now. So there's like a New York Times article. Oops. So, whoops, I thought I was logged in. What's this? Gotta log into my New York Times account. All right. So as you can see here, this isn't looking very good, right? Very creepy man. And honestly, it's very like the headlines are a little, it's hard to read stuff like that on YouTube. So I'm going to let you all clue in and read that. But yes, so child essay, his own children. And that has come out today, but I think that he was already accused. And yeah, like they didn't do much, I don't think. It says that like it's unclear what happened and he has not been convicted. So yeah, it's a big family. Yeah, a lot going on there. So I just wanted to share like what's going on today. So now let's like look at how the transits could be influencing these events. So here's Elon Musk's chart. So they said Cancer ascendant, Mercury in Cancer conjunct the ascendant. And then he has a Cancer sun coming from the 12th house. So he is someone he's definitely very emotional, which is also funny because he's definitely in like the patriarchy camp of like women are emotional and men are builders. And it's like, okay, crybaby. But he is emotional. This is why he has like so many kids. Cancer rules family and the home. And he's like, I guess he values, this is like how all these right-wing people are, is they're like saying one thing and expecting everyone else in society to do that, like traditional homes and family and have kids. Meanwhile, he literally he's like not in his kids' lives. And then I don't think he actually does as much anymore. For a while, he was using his really young one as like a human shield. And it's just like, this is very much a part of like a manifestation of Cancer. So he's a Cancer man and he is a Virgo moon in the second house. So around money, finances, he is very strategic. He can have a lot of ups and downs with money. This is also the ruler of his chart. So he's Cancer rising, moon rules Cancer. And so this is like normal for him that he can experience, like the moon waxes and wanes. He can experience the same thing with his financial income, which we've seen. It's a hot mess. And also he has the moon square Saturn in Gemini. And there's a big Gemini transit going on right now. But this is in the house of large groups. This is humanitarianism, the collective humanity. This is also like the internet and like large networks of people. So he has harsh lessons around how he articulates himself. Not everyone's cup of tea, having Saturn here. And then this is also someone who may have had a hard time making friends. So I've seen some documentaries about that, and he was not very accepted. And that is square his moon. And like moon in Virgo too, like a moon square Saturn, it's like really challenging family home dynamic. Like a lot of like abuses of power, like you weren't allowed to really speak freely, like very like domineering patriarchal household. And what's really interesting too is his big three are feminine, are in earth and water. But it's a very like his chart's like very conflicted because it's like, yes, he's a billionaire, but his chart is very like it's like all over the place there, and there's a lot of like constricted like trauma, um masculine trauma as well. So what's interesting about his transit, so in order to look at transits, and this software is called Astro Gold. If y'all want the professional software, this is the one to get if you have a Mac. Solar Fire if you have PC. You could just search for those. And this is what we use. But there are apps, but like this is really what allows you to see like where the planets are and be able to visually compare them to your chart. So they also have a mobile version of this app as well too. So when we want to look at transits, we do like a bi-wheel chart. So this is a bi-wheel chart, and the inside of the chart is Elon Musk's chart, and then the outside is basically where the planets are in the specific point in time. And I'm just going to walk you all through some transits, and we're going to do it so that you can do like the sun, the moon, Mars, and Venus. Like you can do your own personal planets, but I know like this is the first lesson. So I'm not expecting you all to come away like literally knowing every single planet and knowing how to interpret it. But I want you to be able to do like your big three, like some of the most important personal planets. So with that said, the big personal planet transit that Elon Musk is having right now that definitely is correlated to this news coming out about his family is, you guessed it, eclipse season. So he has a Virgo moon. As I said, when you have eclipses on your moon, a lot of what can transpire can have to do with family. Moon rules home, lineage, where you're from, tradition. So this past weekend on Sunday, we had the solar eclipse in Virgo that activated his family life. And also on the opposite end of the spectrum from Virgo is Pisces. And we had that full moon, the total full moon eclipse, total lunar eclipse in Pisces. That was September 7th. Let me double check that. I have my little eclipse list. Yeah, September 7th. And eclipses are a culmination. They are a reveal. They like the lunar eclipses most specifically. And then the solar eclipse really like just triggered a new beginning after a reveal. So this is like a complete transformation of his family life, how that is now all up out in the open. I'm sure he is traumatized from his childhood, so a lot of that is going to be coming to the surface for him. He may lean more into his drug abuse, so that is something that he's dealing with. And Pisces, the North Node is pointed there to his 8th house. So that's something that he may learn some lessons around, especially with Saturn dipping back into Pisces until February for the last time. So, I mean, he's also going through his Chiron return. So here's Chiron, the wounded healer in Aries, which he has in the 9th house. and it's past the exact point, but it's finishing out its transit. And when we go through our Chiron return, this is a life cycle event. We can experience our childhood wounds that we did not address. And usually that happens like midlife, like late 40s or so. And it's like, it depends on the Chiron transit, but around like 7 to 10 years. And you have to really face those wounds and not allow them to consume you. We all probably know how this is going to go with him. But those are a couple really important transits. But this eclipse cycle is so, so important for him. And that solar eclipse in Virgo was literally on his natal moon. So that is a transit. Another transit, let's see. So he does have right now Mercury, Mercury right now, transiting Mercury, is forming an exact conjunction with his Uranus in Libra. And that's very close to Black Moon Lilith as well, in his third house. And Pluto is there as well. And what was going on was happening to his siblings as well. So third house is siblings. And Pluto can represent abuse, especially SA. And Black Moon Lilith can as well too. And instability because of this. And also what he went through could be a reason why he has challenges in relationships with women. As we can see, that plays out in the public eye. So those are some of definitely the transits that I think are correlating to this news coming out. And in terms of his finances, I mean, I feel like I'm going to need more charts than just more. I need to know perfection, which I'm not going to get into. Maybe I'll do a episode on perfections. But yeah, then I can do a bunch of other different techniques. But this is just based on the general transit, because it's like October 13th, Venus moves into Libra. Yeah. So Venus moves into Libra. So that may, I don't know. He's just really like dug himself deep in this whole thing. Maybe it may soften some of his financial troubles. There may be a contract that comes along because Venus will form a trine, which is a positive aspect to Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. So there could be a contract that comes along that helps his financial situation. I mean, Jupiter is in Cancer. That's another transit he is having on his ascendant in his first house. And he experienced it conjunct his Mercury in Cancer as well. So, but the thing is how this is manifesting for him is he's going on I saw that he does these like televised appearances at like right-wing protests in Europe and says like, fight for our rights. And if you don't fight, you're going to die. And like just riling up literal Yahtzees. And that is also very much like the tribal shadow side of Cancer energy. And like Jupiter in Cancer is like an increase in that tribalism and like feeling slighted and needing a scapegoat, which is very much like that square to his Chiron return. So yeah, it's interesting how that can manifest differently, but I definitely think that like this hyper-inflated national pride that he has definitely increased with Jupiter in Cancer. So that's Elon Musk and his transits. And the most important one, definitely the solar eclipse in Virgo. And I think that that is the most important event for him this year. So I also want to look at, so I pulled up Joy Reid's chart. There is no birth time for her. So we'll do a solar chart, where it's like what I do with horoscopes, but the sun on the ascendant. But there's like a lot we can see with transit. So if you don't have your birth time as well, you sometimes don't need it. And I'll show you how to look at yours if you don't have your birth time. It does help 100,000%. You really should. I mean, I know sometimes it's just not possible. So, but this is how you can read it if you don't. All right. So Joy Reid, she had the show, the readout on, oh my goodness, MSNBC. I might be wrong, but I think it's MSNBC. And she was popular, and she unfortunately was fired. And she's now had to go out on her own. She's got her own podcast, social media, Substack, doing like the independent journalism. And honestly, now he's doing pretty well for himself. Don Lemon was another one that was fired, and I didn't do his chart yet. I really should. And then recently we had Jimmy Kimmel, who was fired, but then now, because there was a huge uproar, was reinstated, which I think it's really important to really point out the difference in treatment between Jimmy Kimmel, who's a white man, and Joy Reid, or even like Don Lemon, that they're like not been reinstated, and no one made like a big a big uproar. So I wanted to go over the parallel between Joy Reid and the transit that Jimmy Kimmel's going through, the Saturn return, because honestly, this is one of the most important life cycle events. This is like, your first one is your astrological coming of age. So that's your first Saturn return. And then the second one is like, your second one is 29. Let's say 27 to 29. 29 and a half is like a pretty peak time. And then like 30, it's over. And then you have your third Saturn return, and that's like 57, and then it's over 60. And then so on. So it's every 29 years. And it is a time of lessons. It is a time of rebuilding, deconstructing the structures of your life and your reality. A lot of people commit to certain things long-term, or change long-term parts of their life that are no longer in alignment. And Saturn teaches lessons. Like, if you are self-sabotaging, or if you are doing a certain job that's truly not your true path and your passion, Saturn will knock you off of that path. So, and teach you a lesson and be like, that's actually not where you want to be, or that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So Saturn, as Saturn goes through each of the zodiac signs, Saturn teaches and dishes a different lesson. So we've had Saturn in Pisces since March 2023. And Saturn moved into Aries for the first time in May. It was like May 4th of this year, 2025. So we've moved out of Saturn in Pisces and entered the era of Saturn in Aries. So people who have Saturn Aries in their chart, if you're around those ages that I mentioned, you are going to experience your Saturn return. So that was like a preview from May until September 1st. Saturn retrograde and move back into Pisces. And this is going to be the last time. So we're going to be in Saturn in Pisces until February. And then Saturn moves into Aries full time for about 2 to 3 years. So Joy Reid has Saturn in Aries in her chart. So she has Saturn in Aries retrograde, and hers is at 18 degrees. So it's not going to be exact for her for like, oh, that's Elon Musk. Oh my God, their compatibility. That's funny. His Chiron is on her, like she does not like him. His Chiron's on her Saturn. So this is the transit compared to Joy Reid's chart in the middle. And as I said, like I don't know her birth time. So I did what is called a solar chart. And this is also how, when we're not doing a particular natal chart, when we're doing like horoscopes, we use a solar chart. We put the sun as the cusp of the first house, as the ascendant. So she's not really a Sag rising. This is just the solar chart. So we're going to really take a look at the planetary placements more so than the houses for her. And the houses are these, it's like a pie chart, and they describe the area of life that this planet is manifesting in. So when we look at the planetary placements, she is experiencing the Sun and Mercury on her Jupiter and Uranus in Libra. So, and this is very real right now. She is definitely going full force in her independent business. A Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is someone who teaches in a authentic and rebellious and different way, that like you gain your prosperity from a alternative way. You may do it online, which she does that as well. So she's definitely going to be creating content and doing a lot of work during this Libra season. This is going to be a big time for her work. But on the other end of Libra, we have Aries. But she experienced a peak of her Saturn return from May until September. And now with Saturn moving back, it's going to tap her Chiron once more in the fourth house. And so she may feel just some frustration around experiencing that loss and seeing how people banded together and went to bat for her. She wasn't getting that same treatment. I'm also just assuming, I'm not saying that she does feel that way, but from what I'm seeing in the transits, this could be in her emotions, just dealing with some like self-worth and healing that. But her Saturn return is not going to be direct until like, let's like actually take a look at when. Why not? Because her Saturn's at 18 degrees. So that's like at least a few years in. But then it's like we have retrogrades. So around the spring of 2027, her Saturn will be direct. So I would read that in terms of transits, that she's having her exact Saturn return around that time. So she can really expect the themes around her Saturn return to amplify. And she is experiencing Saturn's challenge to her to become herself and take whatever punishment or domination from authority and kind of like throw it out the window and step into her power as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as an influencer. So this is a time of authenticity, but unfortunately you can experience some losses during your Saturn return. Job loss is a big theme during Saturn returns in general. I mean, like whether it's budgets are cut or they didn't like the work you were doing or it just wasn't in alignment. And I think that this is what's happening to her as well too. But it's definitely a big identity thing as well, and her like really stepping into her identity without these corporate entities. So I love that for her. And another really interesting aspect is she has Mars in Libra. So Mars is actually in opposition to her Saturn retrograde in Aries. And we are just out of Mars in Libra, like literally like a day ago. Now we're in Mars in Scorpio, but when we were Mars in Libra, that was her Mars return. So that's a transit where you can kind of refocus your energy on what your Mars placement is about. And Mars in Libra can be about conflict, contract conflict. So that was like a big part of her getting let go. She can deal with some legal conflict. She can have differing opinions. And you can see she's really like going in. And check out her independent podcast, but definitely she's speaking more candidly around this time. So she was definitely ready to fight during her Mars return. Of course, Mars was conflict. Not literally, but she was definitely like, why are you all so mad, you know? So those are some big transits for her, but it's interesting how these two personalities are both having their Saturn return, and they're going through like their jobs and their stability being in question. And she's of course a outspoken Sagittarius as well. So now with Jimmy Kimmel, we actually have the same birthday. November 13th. Yes, he is a Scorpio. And we don't have the birth time for him as well. So we're going to do the same solar sign. All right. So yes, he is a Scorpio. And so the whole deal with Jimmy Kimmel, as I was explaining, he basically said something about a certain person that I don't want to get my my live compromised, but he said something and it triggered some delusional folks and basically got his show taken off the air. Then there was a huge backlash. People were boycotting. People were also boycotting like Disney and Hulu. And people were really pissed about this freedom of speech violation. And so now they have reinstated because of all of the backlash. So when you hurt their pockets, this is what I think this transit as well is showing us right now with Uranus and Gemini. Gemini ruling over media, communication, the truth, the written word. And there's a revolution going on in that space. And that started this summer as well in July. And we have Pluto in Aquarius. So right now is just like, it is ripe for revolution around the media space, the entertainment space, and what is free speech, ideas, and thought. So funny. I like just realized we have the same birthday. But it's interesting. He is a Scorpio sun with Neptune in Scorpio. So definitely someone who is very intuitive with his craft and what he does with his creativity. So he is a good writer. He like kind of knows what's going to hit the nail on the head. Does not shock me that he's literally a November 13th Scorpio, because we can be very like controversial. And especially he has Mercury in Scorpio as well, which I have, and like you can trigger people with it, with your speech, and that's what it is. Another famous communications like media personality is oh my god, what's his face? Late night with I have his face in my head and I am just like blanking on it, but it's like late night. I'll think of it later, but he's another one. He's let me Google him. He was like a political, and it's not Bill Maher, but it's the other guy. Larry King. Oh, thank goodness for Google. So Larry King has Mercury in Scorpio as well. So it's like a dark humor type of vibe. When is Larry King's birthday? Is he a Scorpio? Oh, he's a Scorpio as well. Okay, well, there you go. So it's in his nature to rile people up and say a little something that's kind of like reflecting their shadow back to them. So it can be triggering as a result. So that doesn't shock me at all. And Mars right now, so now looking at the transits, Mars is conjunct his Mercury in Scorpio. This just started because we had Mars in Libra. But now it's like, I think he's going to really be motivated to stick with the authentic plan. And now that he's like, oh, well, I get to come back after saying it, I'm definitely going to trigger them some more and use my words as my weapon and do something for society because I can like speak up and use my platform. So that's definitely, I think, going to energize his career. He's also going through Venus conjunct his natal Jupiter, his Jupiter in Virgo. And that is actually like someone who's experiencing a kind of mixed bag when it comes to an increase in their abundance or their money from the blessings from Venus. So Venus is in her fall in Virgo. So that's why it's kind of like, yeah, he got let go. He said something, but then now he got reinstated back, and they're probably going to may compensate him more for his troubles as well. So that's like the two benefics meeting when you have Venus conjunct your Jupiter. That is a positive transit. So he is also experiencing his Saturn return. So he has an earlier degree Saturn. His is at 6 degrees. So he's going to feel this a lot sooner than Joy. But I think also this time he is going to go through still some lessons as he moves through his Saturn return around his identity, who he is, how he wants to portray himself on his show, what's like the future of his career and the like stability of it. And he also has his moon in Aries as well. And his North Node, he's got Black Moon Lilith. And that is going to be activated during his Saturn return. So he may also go through some family challenges with the moon in Aries. He also, he may deal with anger personally as well. Or he may have like not found a way to channel it. This is like in his private life, not too much in the public. I think his Saturn return will teach him how he can channel that in a positive way. And I don't mean like in like anger in a destructive way, but he's somebody who he's a Scorpio. He can like really harbor a lot of intense emotions, and yeah, he needs to have a healthy way to channel that, and his Saturn return I think is going to teach him that. So also I'm seeing as well, he has some Virgo placements that have been activated as well from the eclipse. So it's interesting, his Jupiter was really activated during this eclipse cycle at 3 degrees. So that's why it's like, yeah, they fired him, not fired, but cut his show. And then after eclipse cycle, everything just kind of was like, nah, just kidding. Like the backlash was too much. So I think the biggest lesson from this, and it's just so wild how accurate astrology is that we're having Uranus in Gemini. And this is the era of the revolution of communications and media and how our ideas and learning. Also, childhood education is going through a big upheaval during this time as well. I don't know if it's in a good way, but you know, but it's just so accurate because we are realizing as consumers of this media that we choose who we want to platform and what we want to see. And we want people to be able to speak freely and share their ideas without fear of losing their livelihood or their jobs and things like that. So it's definitely an interesting time right now. But that's just a little intro to transits. And I don't expect you all to be able to read all of this. I just would love for you to just take a look at your chart. Take a look at it like a bi-wheel. You can hop onto software like this, or you can go on like astro.com. That's another place you can look. And just take a look at your ascendant and see, are there any transits? So say you have a Taurus ascendant. Are there any transits happening right now in Taurus? Or if you are a Virgo sun, okay, that means the eclipses were just a very significant transit for you. And if you take a look at your moon, I think if you look at your big three and just see, like, are there any big major transits happening right now, that can tell you a little bit more. And yeah, like, or if you want to even keep it super, super basic to start, take a look every day at where the moon is. And then you can analyze your lunar return. So whenever the moon is back in your moon sign, you'll know, like, okay, this is like my upgrade. This is where I'm focusing on the themes of my moon and nurturing my moon and healing my moon. So your lunar return can be a very powerful part of your month to observe. So just some basics on that. So I was going to do some readings. I feel like people were more chatty last night. It's okay, guys. You don't have to chat. But we were doing live readings last night. And anyone who wanted a reading, if they put their name, you don't have to put your name. If you put your birth date, if you put your birth time, if you have it, where you were born, and if you have like a question or concern, and we do a little quick chart reading. I can hop into a collective tarot reading before we hop off. And this one can be timeless as well. I'm thinking this one is timeless. And this is also, it's for the folks on the live right now, and then anyone else that watches after. So I really want to tap into some messages from the ancestors, some ancestral messages, because we were talking about a lot of like moon stuff during this transit. We were talking about, or during this transit talk. So I'm going to tap into Abiola Abrams. I'm trying to find the cover, but oh well. Okay. Abiola Abrams, Ancestor Secrets Oracle card deck. It's a beautiful deck, and you can check that out in the description box below. I have her deck on my Amazon affiliate, so check that out. And also, speaking of independent media as well, I have just opened up my new newsletter. So this is Adama's Witchy Astro Weekly, and every week I deliver a free tier of content and premium tier. So for free, you get an astrological forecast every single week to your inbox, along with a one-card tarot one-card tarot forecast, and then also a planetary tracker so that you know where the planets are in the sky that week. And then for my premium customers, you get all of that, but then you also get by sign horoscopes, so for each of the 12 zodiac signs, and a 3-card tarot reading for each sign. And then you also will receive my premium planetary tracker that has explanations of the transits that are going on. So all the stuff I was explaining to you, you won't have to do it if you join Adam's Witchy Astro Weekly. I'm like literally doing everything you need to know about the week ahead for you. And I also, for the first time ever, I used to include my spells from time to time in my past membership program. I don't know if any of you all were in Black Moon Lilith Collective. This was like a few years ago. I did some spells. I did a few. But this is the first time I'm sharing a spell aligned with the astrology every week for you to do. So this newsletter is really like a practical astrology and magic guide for every week. So you can have a routine that's like basically handed to you. So the free tier is free to sign up. You can check that out on the description box down below, lilithastrology.com. But then also the premium tier, literally until September 30th, next week, I have my premium tier for $225 a week. And that is a special founder's price. So that price is ending and the price is going to go up after September 30th. And you'll have that price for as long as you are subscribed. So it will never go up for you as long as you purchase when the promotion's going. So I'm so excited about this launch. This is my first solo newsletter. I've written horoscopes for Cosmo, astrology.com, Well and Good, tarot.com, daily horoscope.com. I've written a lot of horoscopes and my work has been featured in a lot of magazines. So you're getting expertise. This isn't just any old horoscope. All right. Now let's get into some collective tarot. So my collective readings are just collective. So take what resonates. If it doesn't resonate with you, it's for someone else who is watching the video. And let's actually use a little bit of psychic cleansing spray. So this is also that's in the description box down below, but Art of the Root. I love this brand. I literally use it. And then I was like, oh, you have affiliate? Okay, well, natural. But this psychic cleansing spray really is great for me, especially for readings. But honestly, you should be cleansing yourself regularly. Like when you come home from a social event or you come home from being out somewhere or you are feeling some negative energy within your space, this is a great spiritual cleanser. And I love the smell too. It smells like, it's like fresh. It's like a fresh smell. All of their stuff is great. So we have Mother of Water, emotional self-care. So I feel like I've been talking about self-care since eclipse season started because it has been very challenging for people. And I think that people are confronting a lot of shadows. They are confronting life change and saying goodbye to certain aspects of themselves. And they're choosing freedom. And fire this is like a very energetic card. So I think also a lot of you are coming off a time where you might have been more to yourself, to like closer friends or members of your family, like not really putting yourself out there or going forward. And this may be because of the energy of the eclipse. Virgo also is associated with the Hermit card. So I think this has been a time where you've wanted to like stay and take care of yourself. And I honestly suggest you all do. So now I think after Mars has moved into Scorpio this week, as we get out of eclipse season, you're going to get more energy. And we have the Peacemaker. This is Libra. And I think Libra season is going to be a time where you level up. This is such a beautiful card. persistence, patience, and really setting your goals and moving forward in a stable way. Libra is also a cardinal sign. So cardinal signs initiate, they lead, they move forward. So I think you are leading your own life, you're leveling up, and you're moving away from just like a challenging time when you were kind of like staying with yourself. So now I'm going to tap into, let's do the Black Moon Lilith Oracle. And I do have the box of this one. So this is my Oracle card deck. And this is also available in the description box below, or you can head to lilithastrology.com. But this deck is great for working with the dark feminine, working with your shadow. I've been told by readers that this deck calls them out. I was just at a virtual webinar and somebody was like, oh my God, your deck calls me out. I was like, I'm a Scorpio, as I said. Authenticity. Wow. Neptune comes out. We're talking a lot about Neptune as well. Magic, imagination, and illusion. So you're also stepping into, some of you could be stepping into something more creative where you're using your third eye, you're using your intuition, you're using your imagination and bringing down things that you dream about or create in your mind into reality. And this also can represent kind of reveals. Some of you may have seen the truth of certain situations during the eclipse season. Neptune is retrograde right now, so that is also a very clarifying time. And also Neptune can represent seclusion, so that is also kind of speaking to some of that. And we have lead your life and soul ascension. So as I said, it's like the soul ascension card reminds me of this one as well. So it's like you are like leveling up after a time where you may have felt stuck, you may have felt secluded, you may have felt like I need to keep to myself. I don't have that motivation to push forward, to get up in front of people. And now you are ascending. You are stepping more into yourself. It's very much like what's happening with Saturn in Aries and like Jimmy Kimmel and Joy Reid, where it's like a challenging situation happens and it dissolves a reality, but was that reality really even in alignment? Or are you better off on your own? Are you better off leading your own life and stepping into the higher version of yourself, ascending to the higher version of yourself? So I think after this eclipse season, a lot of you are ascending to the higher version of yourself. There's going to be some opportunities that come in that allow for you to really be in your authenticity, lead. This could be like a promotion. This could be stepping onto a new life path that is more aligned with you. So I love this. And so now I'm going to pull from, and this is also available down below, the Learning Tarot. I think this is great. I've been recommending this to all my clients. Like, I'm just like, this is such a good deck for you guys. And I really love how it discusses the planetary symbolism in these cards. They're super popular on TikTok. That's where I first saw them. I was like, these are good. So the first card is the Knight of Cups, and the moon in Scorpio is associated, but this is like offers, as I was saying, invitations, taking action, romantic proposals. This is like new ideas. So especially during this Mars in Scorpio, we're entering into the Scorpio season after Libra season. This is going to be a time of forward movement and accept new opportunities that are coming your way. This is also a time of transition. The Six of Swords came out in the reverse. And you see these folks moving away from something challenging. So this can also be stagnation, unresolved issues, emotional baggage. This is what I was saying, like the state that you were in and dealing with prior to the breakthroughs that you experienced during the eclipse. And like we have the hangman that came out as well. So it's like not knowing which way to go, what to do, like feeling trapped and stagnant. Also, money issues as well have been an issue. We have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So money problems, debts, and there's also like biting the hand that feeds. But I think now you're leaving a lot of that behind and stepping more into authenticity and who you are and leading your own life. And I think as a result of that, over the next few weeks, especially as we head into Scorpio season, you are going to get some offers, and it is the time to accept them and to take action. So I think everyone's due for some breakthroughs. I actually just shot a video. I just posted it on TikTok saying that October 13th is actually a really breakthrough day in a positive way. So I think for all of you, like, especially the zodiac signs, Libra, let me just look at it on this screen. I think it's like air signs, but I'm liking October 13th. And I feel like there's just so much intensity going on. I want to talk about a positive transit for once. So, yes. So on October 13th, we have first Venus enters into Libra, and Venus loves to be in Libra. Venus is the planet of charm, money, sensuality. She can provide breakthroughs, and she makes everything easier when she is at home in Libra. So we like that. And she's forming a trine to Pluto. And we also have a trine forming with Uranus in Gemini retrograde. So we have a grand air trine on October 13th. And what's really interesting is this is kind of like a kite, actually. Not kind of, actually, it is. So a kite is a rare planetary formation, literally in the shape of a kite. And it's when a grand trine is anchored by a planet that's in opposition. So we've got Neptune in Aries retrograde holding it down as well. So this is like a fire and air action going on. So a lot of you like positive breakthroughs, financial breakthroughs, work, change, creative ideas. And this is going to be the most powerful for Libra, Aries, Pluto, and Aquarius. So Aquarius placements and Gemini placements. I do want you all to watch out too on that day. Mercury and Mars are forming a conjunction. Jimmy Kimmel should watch out because he has Mercury in Scorpio and he's also Scorpio sun. Because Mars can bring some challenges. So whenever I see a Mars conjunction like that, I always say to watch out. But October 13th, I'm liking. So I feel like the collective is moving in a direction towards breakthroughs and away from the stagnancy that you all have been feeling. So that's it for tonight, you all. So I hope you come away more enlightened about transits, that you can kind of like, okay, when you read a horoscope, I'm understanding the trine. I'm understanding, okay, the moon is in the same sign as the transiting moon, my natal moon. So that is your intro to transits. And I definitely want to talk about transits a little bit more in later episodes of the Lilith Hotline. So definitely stay tuned. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button as well. That helps get this video out to other people and it helps the channel. And thank you so much for watching tonight. And I plan on seeing you all tomorrow. Have a great night.